I want a divorce. My girlfriend, 20 years younger than me, is pregnant. Suddenly, my husband brought his girlfriend home and asked for a divorce. Our marriage had been in shambles for a long time. To be honest, I no longer loved my husband, who didn't help me in the house or even with the kids. Instead, he was always out having fun. Here's the divorce paper. I'll take the kids with me, but Kevin, I declared as I handed the paper to my husband. Then, he said something shocking. What? Take Kevin too? I couldn't believe it. No way, because Kevin is. When I confronted him with the truth, my husband became very upset and just stood there in shock. My name is Mary, and I am 51 years old. I am a stay-at-home wife. I married my husband, John, 14 years ago. We met through a mutual friend. I used to work as a web designer at a website production company, dedicated to my work and been single for many years. A friend, who was worried about me, introduced me to John. John was friendly and a good conversationalist. Haven't had much dating experience, I found my time with him very enjoyable and thought I could build a happy family with him. However, the path to our marriage wasn't easy. John was divorced with a child. His ex-wife left the home, leaving the child with him, so he was a single working father. When I told my family and friends about this, they all said I should walk away from the relationship with him. You'll struggle if you marry him. Everyone unanimously gave me this advice. But their advice only ignited my love. I thought I was the only person who could support John. Since then, I tried to bond with his son, Kevin. Kevin, what do you want to do today? I don't want to play with you. How about we eat something? I can cook anything you like. No thanks. Kevin never warmed up to me. I wondered if I was failing because I had no experience with children. Whenever I felt insecure, John always reassured me. Don't worry. Kevin will understand someday. Thank you for caring about my son so much. His words made me happy, and I didn't mind Kevin's rejection. I'll love him like my own child when we're married. I'm so glad to have met someone who would love Kevin as her own. Looking back, maybe I was conceited, thinking I was providing emotional support for John. 6 months into our relationship, I found out I was pregnant and we got married. Our daughter, Lily, was born, followed by our son, Mike, the next year, making me a mother of 3. Having 2 babies back to back, I was busy with parenting. However, John never helped. Hey, honey, Mike is crying. Can you please soothe him? I'm busy right now. What, me? No way, the kids prefer their mom, right? While I was taking care of our daughter, John, absorbed in his cell phone, would unhesitatingly pass our crying son to me. He always came home late, often drunk. On his days off, he would leave in the morning and return home in the evening, leaving no time for family, let alone parenting. And there I was, with hardly any sleep, constantly caring for the children. The stress just kept accumulating. Could you help out a little? What? I'm tired from work. You just stay home all day and still complaining? Parenting is a woman's job. I couldn't believe what he said. I wouldn't have married him if I had known he was like this. I felt deceived. But, with newborn children, divorce wasn't an easy option for me. Taking care of my restless son and our daughter in her terrible twos was incredibly challenging. Still, I tried my best to be a good mother. I still couldn't bond with our eldest son, who hardly spoke to me. I would wake him up in the morning and feed him breakfast before school, but we barely talked. With the younger kids needing so much attention, I had little time left for our eldest. Years passed. As our eldest son entered middle school, he became rebellious. Kevin. Have you finished your homework, or are you just playing games? Shut up. I'm saying this for your own good. That's what's annoying me. Stop acting like my mom. He was constantly rude, never listening to me. I decided to talk to John about it. Could you talk to Kevin? He's always playing games, not studying, and never listens to anything I say. That's your fault. He doesn't listen to you because of your bad parenting. You've always neglected him. What? How dare you to say that? You never help me with anything, and you're never home. You think I was just out having fun? John got infuriated and stood up. Yes. You're always out drinking. You never give me a hand, even when I'm busy. I have to socialize with my colleagues. Don't act all high and mighty while you're living off me. I was left speechless. I had to quit my job because it was too demanding. We lived solely on the money John provided, which was just the bare minimum. Our budget was always tight. And I had no money of my own to spend. So, whenever he brought up the topic of money, I was left speechless. However, our eldest son's behavior was getting worse. He would stay out late at night, although he was only a teenager. I feared he might end up involved in serious delinquency. I tried hard to persuade our eldest son and John, but they wouldn't listen. John and I would often end up fighting. Then, he started staying away from home more often. This situation continued for years. I was over 50, and our eldest son was in his senior year of high school. I had hoped we could understand each other once his rebellious phase was over, but that wasn't the case. He either ignored me or responded with rude remarks. We couldn't have a proper conversation. John began coming home in the mornings, and our marital relationship was in shambles. Then, one day, John brought a young woman home. Who is this? My girlfriend. She is 20 years younger than me, and pregnant, so I want a divorce. He said, looking straight at me. I wasn't surprised to hear about his affair. I had suspected it for a long time. But I couldn't believe how selfish he was to bring his girlfriend to our home, where our children lived. His girlfriend smiled at me. Nice to meet you, I'm Amy. I was amazed at her for smiling at me. She was 35, 20 years younger than John. She was dressed in revealing clothes and wore heavy makeup. A stark contrast to me with my increasing wrinkles. I can't find you attractive anymore, and as a father, I want to take responsibility for the unborn baby. I'm sorry, but we need to divorce. I reached my limit with these two selfish people. I had endured for the sake of our children, but I no longer loved John. While I struggled, he was out having fun. I decided to let him realize what I had endured, and planned my revenge. John pleaded with me, which was very unusual for him, and I nodded in agreement. Okay. What? Really? He was surprised by my quick agreement. Of course. Here's the divorce paper. I'll take everyone with me but our eldest son. My words made John frown in confusion. What? Take Kevin with you as well. I couldn't believe what he said. That's impossible since he's not my son. We're not biologically related, and we don't even get along. So what? You said you'd love him like your own son. Yes, I did. I treated him like a real family member. I never made a distinction between him and the other kids. And I cared for him in my own way. Then take responsibility for him until the end. John's girlfriend chimed in. He's right. I don't want to be a mother of an adolescent. You should just take care of him until he becomes 18. Our eldest son was in the house, surely hearing this conversation. He never really warmed up to me during his rebellious phase, but I still felt sorry for him. You're his biological father. It's your responsibility to take care of him. What? You're such a heartless woman. Who's the heartless one here? You've never lifted a finger for parenting. If you don't take responsibility as a father, I'm not divorcing you. John scratched his head irritably. And then he sighed heavily. All right. I'll take care of Kevin. What? I can't be the mother of such a big kid. Sorry, but it's just for a few more years. Just be patient. Fine, I'll let you off if you buy me a new bag from my favorite brand. John, grinning foolishly, agreed. In front of this couple, who looked like they might start being affectionate at any moment, I presented the divorce paper. Can you sign this now? I need to take it in tomorrow. All right. You're such an impatient woman. He signed it, grumbling. I carefully put the signed divorce paper in my purse. What about you? Will you be okay after the divorce? No job, no place to live. It's going to be tough for the kids. He was smirking, probably thinking I was just a simple housewife with no savings. Thank you for your concern, but I have a job, so I'll be fine. What? You got a job? But it must be a part-time job, right? You can't survive on your meager income. It's not a part-time job. I resumed my web design work. I can just work from home. Last month, I made over $3,000. So I'm not worried about living expenses. Really? He seemed frustrated. Years ago, I used my savings to buy a computer. And I started working from home as a web designer. Having experiences, I was offered a few jobs, and I began saving for the day I might divorce. That was why I was ready to file for divorce so quickly. Oblivious to this, my husband was under the delusion that he had the upper hand, which I found amusing. But are you two going to be all right? What do you mean? The child support. I'll need it for Lily and Mike until they become 18. John's face turned sour. It would be his responsibility to pay as their father, regardless of the divorce. We'll discuss the amount through my lawyer and get you to sign the child support agreement. I'm thinking about $400 a month for both. $400 a month? That's too much. What are you talking about? They're already in their teens, and there are expenses for club activities, tutoring, and such. That's not even counting food and utilities. It's hardly enough. I had no idea. He never involved himself in the household finances. The expenses for Lily and Mike's sports activities, like shoes, uniforms, practice gear, and travel for tournaments, add up. Even $200 per child each month was hardly sufficient. I hope your girlfriend understands what I'm about to say. What? I smiled at John's girlfriend. For compensation, you know? Since the affair has been going on for years, I expect to be compensated. Though I need to consult with my lawyer. It's likely to be around $30,000, so be prepared. What? I didn't know about this. You're an adult. You should have known. By the way, I have all the evidence I need, so playing dumb won't help. When John stopped coming home, I hired a private detective to gather evidence of his affair. I already knew about his relationship with this woman and had the photos to prove it. There was no escaping the evidence. She was definitely having a sexual relationship with John since she was pregnant, so there's no escaping for her. However, unwilling to accept the truth, she panicked. I don't have that kind of money. I don't even have savings, and we're about to have a baby. That's not my problem. If you can't pay me, ask the man sitting next to you. She grabbed John's shoulder, shaking him. You'll pay for this, right? I'll have to pay for the child support, and that's all I can afford. You need to deal with the compensation. Why me? You're the one earning. Just pay for it. I've spent all my money on your presents. Do you know how much I've spent on you? Are you kidding me? You're useless. I wouldn't even go out with you if I'd known that you were broke. The atmosphere between them had turned sour, a stark contrast to their earlier demeanor. It seemed she was just after his money. Why else would she be with a man in his mid-50s? John was at fault for cheating while married. But she was equally guilty for continuing the relationship when she knew that he was married. I couldn't let her off without compensation. I thought you said you'd provide me with everything I wanted, and that was why I agreed to marry you. I'm not paying for any compensation. Well, it's up to you. If you refuse to pay, I'll consult my lawyer and see you in court. Mentioning a court made her jump up, panicked. I can't do this. I don't want to be in debt for being in relationship with an old man like your husband. I especially hate the idea of becoming a mother to such a big kid. I'm out of here. Wait. His girlfriend grabbed her purse and fled through the front door. John tried to stop her but ended up falling on his backside. It was very comical. Oops, she ran away. It's not oops. This is all your fault. He got up, furious. What? You're going to hit me? I'll call the police. You. You'll be punished for your interfering with my relationship with her. I burst out laughing at his words. I will be punished? Then you'll be punished for neglecting your family. He fell silent, glaring at me. He clearly hadn't fully grasped the situation yet. I decided to drop another bombshell on him. Just so you know, the payment of Kevin's university fees is due this week. So don't forget that. What? Kevin's starting university this September. You need to pay his tuition fees since you're taking care of him, right? He looked utterly bewildered. John, who had neglected our eldest son for years, probably had no idea about his university plans or tuition costs. How much is it, anyway? It's about $12,000 for a private university. $12,000? There's no way I can afford that. Well, that's just for the first year. From the second year, it'll be around $10,000 each year for tuition fees. Good luck with that. No way. I too was surprised at first, as I myself went to a public university and wasn't aware of the high costs of private ones. John, also graduated from a public university, probably hadn't expected it to be so expensive. Why did you let him go to such an expensive university? It's not my fault. I told Kevin to study, but he wouldn't listen, and you never did anything when I consulted you. So you just enrolled him in any university. I can't approve that. Then talk to him yourself. He's the one who decided to go to that university. John fell silent. He probably didn't know how to interact with Kevin anyway, having neglected him all these years. I wasn't going to worry about them. We'll be packing our things and leaving then. As I stood up to leave, John suddenly tried to stop me. Wait. Let's try again. What are you talking about? I've thought it over. For the kid's sake, it's better not to divorce. He looked serious. But I knew his words were just excuses. You just don't want to pay child support and compensation, right? I can't stay with you. Why not? I've broken up with my girlfriend, and I won't cheat again. Let's start over. That's absolutely impossible. I couldn't imagine living with someone who neglected parenting and impregnated someone 20 years younger. I don't think you understand. I agreed to divorce you, not because you asked for it. Then, why? I've wanted to divorce you for a long time. I just didn't have the money to do it until now. I've been saving up from my job. And it was just the right timing. Oh, no. John was speechless. Did he really think I still loved him? I wasn't a saint who could continue to love someone who had treated us so terribly. But the kids need both parents. Divorce will be bad for them. It was when John said that. Our eldest daughter and second son, who had been listening to our conversation, burst out of their bedrooms. I don't want to live with someone like you. Me neither. Lily. Mike. You shouldn't be saying things like that to your parent. The kids came to my side, glaring at their father. Don't act like my dad now. You're disgusting, cheating all the time. I don't want to have someone like you as my dad. We'd rather live on our own than live with you. You too. The shock was more apparent on John's face than anger. He stood there, mouth agape, unable to respond. Don't underestimate us just because we're kids. We can see and judge what adults do. Did you really think we'd still love you just because you're our dad? I was wrong, okay? Forgive me. I'll do anything. I'll buy you anything you want, take you out, whatever. We don't need any of that. I don't even want to see your face. Hearing these words from the kids, John finally gave up. He must have thought he could bribe his teenage kids with gifts. It was obvious that he underestimated them. They'd been aware of my struggles since they were in elementary school and had always been concerned. They wouldn't easily forgive their father. We packed our bags and left without saying a word to John. Eventually, we divorced. Now, he must be struggling with the payments for the compensation and child support. Apparently, his girlfriend also had his baby and is demanding child support from him. Given that the baby was just born, he'll have to keep working even after retiring from his current job. His decision to get involved with a younger woman was foolish indeed. Moreover, since he never did household chores, his house is in chaos. He can't even do laundry properly, wearing wrinkled shirts, and is now shunned by colleagues and neighbors. Abandoned by both his children and his girlfriend, and without any money to spend, he's like a broken man. But that's no longer my concern. Meanwhile, we started our new life. Lily. Mike. You'll be late for your school. Coming. They both hurried to the entrance, backpacks on their shoulders. Kevin. You'll be late too. I know, stop nagging. Kevin, our eldest son, dressed in his suit, headed to the front door. On the day of our divorce, when we were packing to leave, I found Kevin standing in the hallway. He must have been listening to everything. Unable to leave him, I asked, "What do you want to do?" He decided to come with us. Honestly, paying for his university would be a financial stretch for me. But I couldn't abandon him. He was a victim too. Rejected by his biological father and neglected due to my preoccupation with the younger kids, he had a tough time. Kevin, who acted out in his school days, was greatly affected by our family environment. His father was always out and busy. I was overwhelmed with the younger ones. He was alone when he needed affection the most. I couldn't abandon him. When we arrived at our new apartment, Kevin said he'd quit university and work instead. "I don't need you to pay for me. I'll get a job." While I appreciated what he said, I doubted he could find a decent job with just a high school diploma. So, I made a suggestion. "Why don't you study programming?" Programming? Yes. In this internet age, knowing programming could secure a good job. Study hard for a year, then try for a job. I'll cover our living expenses until then. Hearing my suggestion, Kevin surprisingly agreed and diligently studied. In just 6 months, he was skilled enough to get a job, and this year, he was employed as a full-time programmer. My children, in their suits and uniforms, were making noise at the entrance. "Don't talk to Mom like that. It's not nice. Whoever complains won't get a ride in the car." "No way. Please take me. Don't get into an accident, bro." Previously, Lily and Mike were afraid of Kevin and barely spoke to him, but now they have gotten used to their older brother. After putting on their shoes, the three of them turned to look at me. "See you later." They left the house. I never imagined such a day would come. I finally feel like Kevin and I have become a family. I swore to myself to work hard for the happiness of my children.